yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. No day for them to see. Rage is like a weed, spread into the streets. It's time to make them bleed. 'Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weak and harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. 'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make
All right, guys, let's get this party started. If you want a reading, be sure and visit my stand store. It is linked in the description below. And as always, we have a fair use, a disclaimer. As you come in, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share the video if you like it. Let's get it going. Good afternoon. This beautiful Saturday. I hope it's beautiful where you are. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, that is for sure, except where the places are, these people are missing. And when I say these people, I'm talking about kids, adults. You know, we've got a lot of missing people. I've done a lot of missing maps, and it just gets, it's crazy. You know, it's just absolutely insane how many people go missing each year. Devlin Tait I don't know if you have heard about his case or not, but he is an autistic young man. He had just turned 18 in May, and then in April, he went missing. He went missing from Carl's Market in Lake Odessa, Michigan. He was looking for work, a little upset maybe because he had been in trouble with the law. And his chart compared with the missing event shows all of that. I mean, of course, it shows, his natal chart is, of course, going to show the challenges that he has in life. These challenges that he has in life are with family, with his maternal and paternal, the family dynamics, the emotions that were surrounding his everyday life. He was like I said, he was 18 when he went missing. And I'm hoping that we are not going to be coming up on a year mark. I hope that he can be found sooner than later. I'm not sure all of the details because originally, when I was asked to map him in July, I started to draw the lines out, draw the angles out on the map, started putting my little, investigative work together with all the different addresses that I could find. And the family, Tamara and Sabrina, were very busy. They didn't know how to work the map with me. So I just kind of got a little disgusted. I can't work a map by myself. And I'm not in Michigan. I'm in Tennessee. So I can't just go there and start searching for him. But I wanted to go ahead and do a recording because if there's anybody that's local that sees this video, just maybe something is going to click and they'll know where he could be found at. That's my hope. That's my hope, because at this point, I'm not real sure how I can help other than that, because I'm not local. So Devlin, like I said, he was scared about the law because he had, I can't confirm any of this. I'm just going by what I've read online in the Devlin group on Facebook. But there was allegedly he had put his hands on his grandmother, I think that's who she is. And it wasn't like anything that I would consider like scary. I mean, he did put his hands on her face and asked her to look at him. There were constant battles going on in the home and other people's homes, but at the same time, when I say other people's homes, because his grandmother didn't live with him, his uncle Matt didn't live with him, but he did have a house full. There was a house full. He was just, going through a lot. He had stolen something. I think he had stolen something, or he didn't steal anything. He had tried to get in like a break-in and entry. I don't know if it was a school, if it was somewhere else. I don't know. The details are just convoluted for me. But there is 2 instances. One was a break-in and entering, and one was assault. But for one of those charges, I think he was on probation for the grandmother thing. The breaking and entering, I think he was going to go to court the next day on April 22nd. Then April 21st, he's missing. So it makes me think, when I'm looking at his chart, it makes me think that it had to do with the challenges with the law. And I'm going to show you that right now. Because I want you to see that I've taken a bunch of the glyphs off. Usually you see a lot more on my charts. But for now, I just want to show you guys a really easy chart to see when you look at these red squares, okay? That's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to talk about these red squares, and I want to talk about the oppositions, the opposing forces. But the squares is my main concern right now, is to talk to you guys and then show you this on the map, okay? So here we go. Saturn in the 10th house, this is, of course, going to go to his dad, his public image, his work, teachers, school. Okay. Saturn is what I just described, and it's in Leo. That's why I said school and teachers, because that is exactly what that is standing for in Leo. The midheaven is critical. We see a critical 29 degree up here. So family is critical, especially with his maternal and his father right here, the flame of life and the justice with his dad. His dad is incarcerated in Wyoming. That's what I have discovered online. Okay. Dad is incarcerated in Wyoming. He had taken another person's life. And so that is what we are seeing up here. Okay. So the square with Saturn, and you'll see it right here, square Jupiter. So Jupiter and Saturn are square. That means that they are 90-degree angle apart from one another, 90 degrees away from one another. So we've got Jupiter in Scorpio and the Saturn. Okay. So the Jupiter in Scorpio, let's talk about that. So we just talked about the Saturn, the Jupiter in Scorpio. Jupiter is about the courts. It's about long travels, hiding. It's very intense. Could have to do with death, rebirth, regeneration, other people's money, hidden sex. So we have this on his life path. He rises with the justice system, with contracts. And I hear that he was adopted by some of his family members. That would make sense. Then his early life, there's an expansion. But it's square. We're square. We're challenged with work, with authority, with publicity, with teachers, school kids. And then the Saturn opposes straight down. There's an opposition here. It's opposing this Chiron. This Chiron is a 941 in Aquarius. It's critical here. We've also got the critical 2943. It's critical with a job, or it could represent Carl's. Okay. Carl's supermarket is a business. It's a business. And there is something about that video. There is something about this video. Who else was caught on the video? He was seen at Carl's supermarket at 8:21 a.m. Donna, the family did say that he had disabilities. He actually, they are on the Facebook group actually talking about some disabilities, and I'm not sure exactly which ones he had. I just know that he was autistic. I just know that for sure. All right, so we have this, and because I'm going to talk about this. This energy right here was in transit when he went missing. When he went missing, the moon in Aquarius was here. The moon in Aquarius was here. We were reflecting groups, the future, and a future home. And I've talked about it so much on this channel that hopefully you can remember, but there is a homelessness, humanitarian energy when it comes to Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It's a humanitarian, and it could represent homeless. Devlin was homeless. They had basically, some of his family members had said that, things were not going well at the house. He was, going to different places and sleeping. Maybe the fairgrounds, maybe here, maybe there, trying to get warm, trying to get food, whatever. I don't know exactly because I wasn't there, and the family hasn't really been on the same page per se, okay? I can definitely tell that there's a grand trine, there's a kite here. He's got a lot of unique aspects going on in his chart here. But the main thing is the moon was here. The moon had just opposed his Saturn, and the moon was coming over his Chiron. And that was at 8:21 a.m. So I would be interested to know if the family has seen that video footage of him at Carl's supermarket. What was he doing at Carl's supermarket? Who was he talking to? Who was he talking to? Why was he there? Was he getting food? He had an EBT card, I believe. He had a food card. Was he getting food? Is that what he was doing there that early in the morning? He walked everywhere he went. He walked everywhere he went, and the townspeople were used to seeing him. I don't know if I'm correct, if everybody, if it's a small town, and everybody knows everybody, but a lot of the townspeople would have known Devlin. People that he went to school with, recently graduated, 18 years old. Who were these kids that he went to school with that were sending him? Because allegedly there was kids that he had went to high school with that are also 18 that were sending him on fake scam jobs, telling him to go here or go there, playing with him as if they knew that he could get a job at this place or at that place. And they were messing with him. So I think that is also having something to do with this chart here with the Saturn in Leo, because he had limits and obstacles at school with his public image. And it was critical. It went back to his family. It really did. This Venus, I want to talk about this Venus as well. This Venus, if you know anything about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, he rises out of 2656. It goes to the state of Maryland. But there's a relationship here with Venus in Aries. In Aries. The full moon that is coming on the 6th, it's going to be right here in his 6th house, his everyday. But then the moon is going to come over his Venus as well. That's why I want to talk about that as well, because Venus and Mars square each other. Okay, so here we are. We've got another challenge. His relationships, the money, relationships and money, warring with Mars at home, with the courts, with at least two people, warring at home, wants him to be independent. He wants to be independent. And so he could travel far. Okay. So we're looking at warring with Venus, money at home, and with his mother, his bio mom, wanting to talk to her. there were things that were going on in his personal, emotional life that was really hard for him to deal with. He was having a very hard time. We can see that the moon and the sun are conjunct here, so he would have been born on a new moon. Mom would have given him to two people. The two people, this Gemini, this is the mental health here. Then we have Mercury. Mercury here in the 8th house of death, rebirth, regeneration, other people's money. Hidden sex, things are hidden. Mercury in Gemini. Mercury is in its own sign of Gemini. So Mercury in Gemini rules his chart. Mercury rules his chart. Mercury rules his chart. Mercury's sign is Gemini. So the sign ruler, Mercury, in the sign of Gemini means that we are going to be looking at this aspect on his map. And if I haven't drawn it in, I'm going to draw it in because it's ruling his chart. Okay, so Mercury, we look over here, we see that Mercury squares Uranus. Mercury is squaring Uranus. So let's go back up. Mercury and Uranus. Uranus is in the 5th house of kids, creativity, how he creates. It's in Pisces. It's about charity. It's about charity. Creating with groups, doing charity work. So that's what he would be really good with. That's what he would be really good with, is being a humanitarian, giving back. That would be the challenge. But the challenge is also with groups, medicines, drugs, alcohol, a shakeup with water, a shakeup with a flooding event, a lake, with his thinking with two people. So we want to look at that 1430 as well and see if there's any lakes. There's going to be a lot of wisdom that's going to be coming to Devlin's case. It's going to be a lot of wisdom that's going to be coming, and that's going to be coming in about 4 or 5 days. I think it's actually on the full moon. On the full moon, on the 6th, on Monday, there should be some wisdom. We should be getting wisdom about the case of Devlin Tait. That's my hope anyway. That's my hope. So this is just some of the things that I can see. And one thing that I do like, that I think that is good in this chart, is the fact that Hygeia, here in the 3rd house of communications and siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. Well, I wouldn't say aunts and uncles. I'd say cousins. It's in a good standing. There's communications with the business, possibly Carl's, possibly a ring cam. And it is in a good standing with this Saturn. I'm sorry, with the moon. With the moon, with the communications of the things of the past. A good standing. It's in a trine. This grand trine is looking like it's going to the south node where he's been. Possibly a park. Possibly a park. Maybe some new footage coming in from the past. Or even a business. This could be with the law. This could be the law enforcement instead of a park, or the justice system. Now, I also want to state for the record that this 941, this Chiron, That degree goes to the state of Ohio. It goes to the state of Ohio. Take that for what you will. But if I were to look for Devlin in Ohio, I would be looking for him at a homeless camp. If he's alive, if he's in Ohio, that could be a mental health place for sure. This Uranus could also stand for a hospital, a shakeup at a hospital. I don't know what that would be. I would have to ask his family. Yeah, I'm not sure if he has the chromosomal deletion or not. It's very rare. It's very rare. I would want to see the papers for that, Chuchi. I would want to see that diagnosis. I mean, he does connect to Sebastian with the head. He does connect to Sebastian with this head, with relationships, with the warring with relationships. So that could be the chromosomal deletion. It could be. It's so rare. Less than 100 people have it in the whole world. All right, so let's move along. Let's get on the map, because I want to show you some of the things that were going on. Well, let's look at the hold on just a second. Let's look at the missing event. Let me show you guys the missing event. Now, this missing event, we can also see the squares, the trines, the oppositions. When he went missing, we are rising, okay? We are rising in that 8th house. His 8th house of death, rebirth, regeneration, other people's money, things that are hidden with the communications. The mental. Remember, Mercury rules his chart. So Mercury is rising here. His whole 8th house. Jupiter is expanding it. And what just happened? I don't know. Oh, hold on, y'all. What just happened? Hold on. It says screen sharing was canceled. Just one second. Let me just try it again. Just wanting to cancel me out over here. Okay. All right, here we go. The moon is square the sun. The moon here is squaring with the sun. Okay, so let's talk about this. The moon and Pluto are traveling. They're in transit. Pluto is just going to hang out there, but the moon is going to travel. But at the time, the moon has just opposed Carl's. Saturn and the moon are in an opposition. Why is that? I want to know more about what took place at Carl's. Why is the moon in an opposite public image? You know, what was going on? Because the moon and Pluto being conjunct like this make me feel like he ran away. But there's other things at play here. So I'm hesitant to go with that. You know, I'm really hesitant to go with that because it's traveling the moon is traveling in the fourth house, opposing. So the mother and the group is opposing the Mars. Mars and the moon are opposing each other. Devlin has things that he learns at a 122 in Scorpio. So Mars had just went over him. He had just learned something. Like right before 821, he had just learned something. Was it a car? Because Mars in Leo could be about kids in a car. There's a lot of attention on a car. Mars is the car for me. It says that you have the ability to state your thoughts strongly. You make an impact. Clashes with siblings and cousins. That's another thing. That is it as well. He would have been on the phone, possibly in an argument with Matt. Family members, cousins, or people in a car. I hear that Matt doesn't have a car, that they were just on the phone, arguing like they always do. The sun is shining here. It's about things of the past, about money, because the sun is in Taurus. So we're talking about a pain here, an argument and pain about money and health that is shaken up, things from the past. And the Jupiter is just expanding with his mental health. The mental health is surreal. And we've been here before. We've been here before. There is some type of health factor. We've been here before. And this is in the fifth house, so it's about the way that he is creating. And we can see that Venus right here in Astria, this is the seventh house. This is Venus in Pisces. Look at all of that energy that's going on up there. Ceres at a 21-25 is squaring with Jupiter. There's a lot of energy here with the 11th house of groups. The 11th house of groups. The way he brings in money. There is a major challenge happening here with Jupiter. Two people. Communications. Lots of energy. This is about a church. This could be about a church. This could be about water, medications. And Ceres is also let me look at this again. Ceres. Is squaring okay, hold on. Ceres is squaring Astria. So the seventh house of relationships. 21, 23. All right. I'm about to look at the map now because I'm feeling like there's something happening here. Church, charity, relationship that's hidden. A relationship that's hidden. Okay. I'm about to share my whole entire screen here. Hold on. Let me share my whole entire screen here. I don't know if the adopted dad had money. That's a good question. That's a good question. But there was definitely things going on with money. And there was just not a lot of it. He was, oh man, this is not, let me look at his map. Let me share his map. Stop the screen here. Hold on just a second. Let me pull up the map. Let's get into this. Because if there's some of those that I haven't drawn, I'm going to have to draw them in. It's, like I said, I started it in July. All right, y'all can see the map, right? Let me make sure. Make sure y'all can. Yep, you can. Okay. Back on. Now you can see the whole thing. All right, y'all can see the map. So let's turn on the missing. Let's turn on the missing. Because I don't know if I have series here yet in Astria. Okay, there's Astria. Because it was square series. So we got a square. I don't have series up here. Okay, let me draw in series real quick. Because that's going to be, I think that's important here. Series is a 21, so that's 330, 40, 51, 351 compass bearing. All right, so let's do that. And that's going to be his mom going that way. So Jupiter is going to be going this way, 19. So that's 60, 79. 79. Okay, so this is the missing square. Missing series in Pisces. Square Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, now let's see what addresses I have here and where we could possibly try to find this boy. I call him a boy because, I mean, he is a kid. He's still just a kid, you know? He's not like this, you know, grown. Grown man. I mean, he's just a kid. And the fact that he had, you know, the autism and all the other disabilities, it just, his mind. Okay, so let's just look at this one for a minute. Let's look at, hold on. Let me turn on the missing again. Hold on. Let me look at, so that's Astria. Okay. Let's bring up that one too. Okay, now I just want to look at these. Of course, we could look at the one that's going down. Let's look at the south node. Let's look at these squares real quick. Let's just focus on the squares as with the missing event and then go from there. Okay, so let's go to the south node. Where's the south node? No, what was that? What was that? The Libra energy. Could have been the sun. Sun and Mars square. The sun and Mars square. Here's the sun. The Mars and Leo missing Mars. Let's look at these for a second. Now let me turn on the addresses. Get a new map here. Well, that's fine. I'm hesitant to turn on some of these. Okay, that's the pizza. No, that's the visitation. Okay, shit. Okay, so I've been in the rabbit hole, okay? I've been in the rabbit hole. Let me see if there's something else up here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got that one. There's the pizza place. There's Bob's. I don't want to see that, but I'm seeing it. So Bob's Jamboree. Okay. He was friends with some older men. They did a little rehearsing and some singing and stuff. And it's even on YouTube. You can find it, Bob's Jamboree, where before he went missing, he was recording a song. He was going to, but his phone was messed up. There was things going on with his phone. Maybe I should show that. Do y'all want to see what I'm even talking about? Or do y'all know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about with the video on YouTube with him and Bob's Jamboree? Because if you do, I don't want to go over that. But this is kind of telling. Because Ceres, I have said time and time again that Ceres is about, it's about, especially in Pisces, this is about charity. It's about religion, religious folk. You could expect to find a church possibly. But it's square Jupiter in Gemini, and it's also square Astrea. Astrea in Sag is also about a justice. When he goes missing with relationships, and it's religious. And far. It's also about courts. This is going to go through Iowa, Nebraska, tip of Wyoming into Nevada. But this is really interesting to me. Oh, gosh. So I've got Harold. Harold had just passed away. Harold had just passed away in March. And for people that had just passed away. And Harold, let me just show you where Harold lived. Not the exact house or nothing, but this is around where Devlin lived. This is where Harold lived before he passed away. So not too far from each other. He had passed in March. And Harold is buried in this cemetery. Harold is buried here. We have a sex offender here. But I kind of went into the rabbit hole with Harold because he had just passed away. And when I'm looking for people that are missing, I'm looking for them dead and alive, right? I'm going to look for both. But if there's any foul play, then I want to look in cemeteries, landfills, water, woods. I just want to, look at all kinds of places for the missing because I'm not sure. So this is concerning me that Harold, this is where he lives, or where he lived. This is where Devlin lived. And if we go up to Greenville, all you got to do is pull up Harold Denny's stuff, and you'll see that in his this is where the family gathered for Harold at the Marshall Funeral Home in Greenville. And so that's where the missing series is going, that's squaring Jupiter and Gemini. It's squaring. There's a challenge here. But this Jupiter and Gemini, let me see what this is again, if I can remember. I don't want to show people's addresses and dox them, even if they are offenders, because I still think that that's not cool. No, Harold was not the adopted dad. No, let me tell you again who Harold is. Harold had I looked at Lakeside Cemetery. I pulled it up to see who had passed away in March or April. Harold, there's two people, actually three, that had passed away in March that were laid to rest here. It would have been a fresh grave. Okay. So I looked up those people. I looked up their obituary, looked up their birthday, put their addresses on the map so I can see if one of these people that had passed away could possibly be holding Devlin in the grave if he would be deceased, and if that's the route that we thought that maybe it could go. Now Mars, remember Mars, and during the missing event, Mars and Venus, in his chart, Mars and Venus are square. But in the missing event, the missing Mars in Leo was opposing the moon, things of the past. The moon is about groups of people. Groups of people could be at a cemetery. The moon and Mars were opposing each other. Well, Mars is coming here. Mars is going here. This is the missing Mars. It's about the body, the vehicle. We're going this way. It's a lot of attention. So let's look at the addresses here. We've got a sex offender here. Got a sex offender here. This is where another person that passed away, this is where he lives, and he's buried also in the cemetery. But anyway, this is a sex offender here. We're going into the water. We're going into the water here. We're going to the cemetery, and here's another sex offender there too. All kinds of woods in the back of that sex offender. There's a sex offender. If we keep on going down, I don't have anything. Nothing. No, I do. Hold on. What do I have here? Okay. Her last name was Devlin. I've ruled her out, but that shows up. It shows up because she's like, I don't know why I'm here, but my phone is, I'm 75 years old anyway. I put her on there just to see if she showed up, and she does. I don't think that she's pertinent at all, but there is an Ohio connection that he has. One of the sex offenders is from Ohio. Actually, It's going to be this one. This offender is from Ohio. He offended in Ohio. He offended in Ohio. I'm concerned about this one just because he is from Ohio and he offended in Ohio. It's either that one or this one, but I don't want to dox him. Here's the police station. Here's another offender. The Astri and Sag is definitely going to go to a church, the justice system, the courthouse, the police. But this is a seventh house of relationship. There's a justice. And two people with their communications are opposing this justice. It could be a church, like I said. It could be religious people. I'm going to be looking at all the churches. I haven't started even putting the churches here. This is where, let me show you this. The sun is shining on things of the past with devices, money, and things of pleasure. God's will is done here. So we know that the sun in Taurus was squaring Mars, right? We know that. The missing sun, this is a 90-degree geometric angle. The sun is shining here over Tupper Lake. There's Sunoco. There's the laundromat. The laundromat. So we've been there before. Something of the past. There's something about this laundromat of the past. There's something about this laundromat and the past. And there's a lot of attention going to it with Mars. There is a challenge with the laundromat, things of the past, and going this way. So somebody, the laundromat, could have to do with money, could have to do with pleasure, and is going this way. Let's pull up Michigan. And so in the laundromat, there's where his phone pings. Somewhere around here is where his wake-up call with groups and health is on this angle. Where are the homeless camps? Can we look to Tupper Creek and walk it to see if he is anywhere near the woods or in the woods? Michigan's 11th outer wheel in Taurus. This is where Michigan has their friend group, their peers. This is where searches should be if it hasn't been. It's a lot of terrain right back through there. But this would be ideal, an ideal place. Let's bring on the natal. There's the natal outer wheel in the 2nd and 8th house. So his 8th house, where the sun is going to during the missing event, is going into that 8th house of Taurus and Gemini with communications. This is that 8th outer wheel. So I'm interested in here. That's why I've got a hot spot here. I want to see if there's any places from here, because Michigan, the missing, and the natal are all showing up there. Excuse me. So we've got Carl's, and where that phone pinged is about a mile. a little under a mile. The sun was shining at a 1 degree. So this mile with the 1 degree would put him right here. But he's not there. He's not at a home. And if he is, then he hasn't emerged. A little bit further into up on Turkey Creek here. Right through here. I think I've got another hot spot right through here. There's a bend in the road. And that's, of course, if he's deceased. But this is where Uranus, during the missing event, is getting shaken up with groups. Abrupt endings with communications here in groups. They said that his phone was pinged here, but it would appear that it would have maybe pinged over through here, closer to his house, or where he was living at the time, where his family was living. The missing event is rising here with communications. Remember, I said it's rising at a 2 degree in Gemini. This is it. There's a lot of stuff going on here about things of the past with money, opposing the law enforcement as well. Michigan has an intense experience with groups here in Tupper Lake. So I would imagine that they took some drones or whatever, had some people get in the water. That missing series in Pisces is squaring Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so that tells me that if they only used a drone, if they have been in the Tupper Lake with only a drone, there is problems. This is a challenge here. This would be a challenge for a diver to go in. It would be a challenge for a diver. So that's what I would suggest, is to make sure that a diver goes into before you say that Tupper Lake has been cleared, dive it. A diver would need to go here. Yeah, because the missing Jupiter and Gemini is opposing Astri and Sagittarius, meaning Jupiter is in its detriment in Gemini. Jupiter wants to go far. Jupiter wants to go to college. Jupiter wants to teach, but Gemini wants to hold you close to home. Gemini is ruling his chart. Okay, so I don't have his natal. I don't have that natal Mercury here, and it needs to come in. It definitely needs to come in. Let me put these back in. Because that Mercury in Gemini, that's got to, we got to do something about that. So Mercury in Gemini conjunct his sun and moon. So that Mercury is 15, so that's a 60, 75 compass bearing. And his sun is going to conjunct the sun. That's at a 5, so that's a 65. Now we're getting somewhere. We're cooking with gas now. Because I think that this is going to be okay, so this is a natal. The natal Mercury, again, it's ruling the chart. Natal Mercury, conjunct Sun in Gemini, 8th house. But it's ruled by Taurus. So his 8th house is actually ruled by Taurus. And we've got all this Gemini energy, okay? All right, so let's go back down. Let me make sure I've got Let's just look at this conjunction here. This is where we want to make sure we got all these angles. Especially the one that's going to be the chart ruler. His chart ruler. You know, we all have a chart ruler. What's ruling our chart? And I'm going to show you the lines, all of them, that are going over some of the places that I can tell you about. Okay, so we're going over 2nd Street here. This is the communication line. So we would have went from Carl's, there's 3rd, Jordan Lake Avenue. Looks like there's some, let's see if there's the railroad tracks right there. Let's look at that. It's these woods. These woods need to be checked. I'm looking at all of these woods right here. I would imagine that they did search and rescue. I would imagine that I could be even talking about some of the things that they've already done. You know, some of the places that they've already looked. Let's see what those woods look like here. Let's see what these woods look like. Yeah, so look, there's a playing field here. Those woods are pretty thick. There's a playing field here. Okay, so what is this? It looks like a football thingy. Huh. But all of those woods would need to be checked. I would definitely check all those woods because it's right there. So much data. There's Tupper Lake, Creek. Look at that. Huh. There's the man. There's the man that died a month prior. There's Devlin's home. The creek, the Tupper Creek looks like it empties into Tupper Lake. So if he were to be in the creek, God forbid, if he were to be in the creek, then it would empty him here. And that's the reason why you would have to, because this is all Gemini, which is about the communications of the drone. I would definitely make sure a diver dives this. I think that's what I would be asking for real. And then we've got Harwood Bonanza Road. Let's see. Let's bring in Michigan again. Michigan is going 11th house, Poseidon and Gemini. 11th house. How they bring in money. Grounds them. Yeah. I'm thinking that's going to be, I bet that they've looked in this lake with drones or sonar. I don't know. I don't know. Michigan first. Okay, so this is the 11th house of groups. 11th house of groups with him here. Gordon was here before his death. So Gordon, one of the guys that passed away in March, that's buried at the Lakeside Cemetery. This man was buried with his wife. Okay. So he was buried with his wife. You know, it has the two, the headstone with, you know, him and her. And so this is interesting because this is where Portland Assisted Living and Memory Center, where Gordon was before he died. So this is an assisted living place. Wow. That's crazy. Oh, geez, man. So I've got his birthday of and it's Erie. 11th house Poseidon, Gemini. It's their wisdom. Their wisdom. Okay, so let's move on along. Because here again, that cemetery that I'm interested in is right here. Oh shoot, no, that's the SO. Michigan rises and shines here in Leo, conjunct Venus. So Michigan rises to the occasion at this man's house. But this is coming from Carl's, okay? All these lines are coming from Carl's. Don't forget. They're based on the missing event at 821 coming from Carl's with Michigan. And there is the Saturn in Leo. The Saturn in Leo that I was talking about in the beginning of this video, there it is. It's at this SO's house by the cemetery. So if the police, I would imagine that the police have checked the nearby offenders and their homes or basements or whatever. But this is telling us a story. They rise and shine here. The moon was opposing his Saturn, right? So the moon was opposing him here. This is his natal Saturn. The Saturn could also be the business, the cemetery. It's more of a Cancerian energy. But Michigan's Mars in Cancer is here. And it's in a good standing with their Pisces. Limits and obstacles of Pisces. So if he were to be found here, the natal Mars in Cancer, that is quincunx is Pluto. It's right here. So we would need to make sure, have divers here. Check the cemeteries. Lots of woods here. But then we have this offender. Let's go ahead and turn on the missing and see how the missing event is right here. Like, this is eerie. Make sure that this offender is for sure cleared. The missing, I see the lowest point at home in Leo. It comes right here. Comes right here. Saturn in Leo. I see in Leo. And Michigan rises and shines here in Leo. They actually shine in the 12th house with prisons and hospitals. That would be this person. The missing event is showing a home that's, we're at a low point here. With kids, with attention, with publicity. There's no publicity here. Then we have the natal Chiron in the 4th house of home that opposes his Saturn in Leo. And this is where the opposition was coming to during the missing event. This is what I would want to see. So I don't have a hot spot here, but we could go ahead and create one just because that's what we want to see. We want to see the lines really close telling a story. But again, that's not the only offender. We've got an offender up here, a lot closer. A lot closer. Look at that. We got another offender. Same thing. Same thing, y'all. Does not mean that either one of these offenders had anything to do with it, but as a mapper, I'm looking. This area right here in the water. Here's Matt's. Here's where Matt was living or lives, or this is Hastings. This is where his, let's see what that is. Bliss Riverfront Park. So this is where his uncle or his cousin or whoever Matt is to him. This is where Matt lives. This is where the Jupiter and this is the natal Jupiter in the first house of Scorpio. This is where it goes. He's an SO. Matt is an SO, so that makes sense. He grew up knowing about that, or he knew about it with the courts, with the justice system. There's Michigan. There's a breakup here with a shakeup with the investigation. It could be about a pond, a containment, hidden sex, the missing Vesta in the sixth house, the flame of life is coming here with the missing event. The flame of life. The flame of life either gets extinguished or it reignites. So it's always going to reignite until he's found. It's always going to be reignited and centered around this family member. We can even come over a little bit more over here on State Street. This is murky water. And during the missing event, there was a relationship. There's a relationship that's hidden. That's going this way. It was a critical relationship at that. That's the landfill. I always look at landfills when people go missing, because if you want to try to hide a body, I mean, the landfill's going to be the best place. Who wants to spend the money? And this is where Michigan brings in money, but it's also things that are hidden with the investigation. The natal second house is outer wheel is there, but here is the park. Bliss Riverfront Park is right here. We can see that the missing dark moon, the missing sixth house dark moon that was conjunct Apollo and Scorpio, there's a lot of disordered aggression, a lot of enlightenment here about hidden sex or about the trash. Or about the trash. His natal is right here as well. The natal first house, Selena. This is where he learned something. Okay, so he either learned something or is taught something. And Mars is moving him here. This is where I'm thinking that if he was wanting to go somewhere, it could be here. It could be here. I have yet to draw any lines with Michigan here, so I'm not really looking here for him per se. Let's go back up. So this is the Jamboree. The missing Saturn that was conjunct Venus, that's conjunct the North Node, that's conjunct everything, is up here. It's all up here by the Jamboree. Michigan Mars in Cancer in their 12th house is trining Saturn in their 9th. So it's about, it's, I'm just wondering, does one of them live here? His North Node is in Aries. North Node is in Aries. South Node is in Libra. This is the restaurant, the pizza place. This is where the visitation was for Harold. Right on the same lines as Penny's, the pizza place. He wouldn't have been able to buy any food from here. That's what it looks like. During the missing event coming from Carl's, he wouldn't have been able to buy any food here. He wouldn't have been able to get anything to eat here. It would have to do with the money situation. So that's a no-go for him. But it doesn't mean that there's not somebody that comes from here. Very interesting indeed. Sunco, the laundry. The missing sun is at the laundry and is squaring the Mars. Let's go down a little. I don't know. I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, I just can't keep looking at the same thing. Lakewood Auto Repair. Okay, let's look at that. Because I ran across this looking at the different places. Lakewood Automotive Repair. Hold on, where was that other place? Where's the fairgrounds? There's the fairgrounds. No. Is that the fairgrounds? No, where'd the fairgrounds go? Hold on. I've passed it. Here it is. So here's the fairgrounds. Let's go deep into here. Looks like a property here. There's the fairgrounds. His natal Australia, Eris. So there's a justice here, a possible head wound. There are things going on with his health here. There's a justice for sure at the fairgrounds. Michigan meets their midheaven here. And Michigan also has a relationship that brings them a conscious raising experience here. Fairgrounds. I can't get to see all of it, which stinks. I mean, I don't know why. Can't even see it. Dang it. The road isn't going. It's not highlighting there. So he was definitely at the fairgrounds. That is a big justice. Justice with his health. There's something about this. But then this property makes me wonder who lives there. There's a lot of energy surrounding this. Michigan 8th house moon conjunct Jupiter. There's things going on. It's hidden here. Things of the past. So maybe one of them offenders, I wonder if one of the offenders works here. That's an offender. So here's an SO, and there's the Jamboree place. So he would have walked past this SO all the time. There's a lot going on right here. Let's look at that. Let's look at this. Hey, Shauna. Hey, y'all. Don't mean to be ignoring you guys in the chat. For the handful of you that's in here, there's a shakeup. Shakeup with a group. Maybe that's a business. Hold on. Because this is the 10th house. Money, the 10th house. Money, the 10th house. This is a relationship. Michigan. See how that they're all coming together. So we've got the natal Chiron. It's like this area right through here. I'll have to look and see and start marking these businesses and seeing what they do. What they're all about. I see, God dang, man. And it's not going to light up. Dang, dang, dang. Can't get on the ground here to see. It really stinks. It just stops right here. I can't keep going. That's ridiculous. Let me also show you where Yuma, Arizona is on this map before I forget. I wonder what this is. What is this place? I mean, that looks like home. Maybe that's just that's an address. This is railroad tracks. This is railroad tracks. Okay. So the 10th house. It could be railroad tracks. That's what that could be too. Law. Okay, let me back up so I can show you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Shauna, like what? Okay, so let's look. let me show you some of the other places that I have. When he went missing, Ohio was in transit. Like I said, he is also connected to Ohio. That 941 that he has with his Chiron in Aquarius goes to the birth chart of Ohio. All right. The day that the day that he went missing, Ohio was in transit. So all you got to do is Google Ohio, April 21st, 2025, and you'll be like me and you'll see why Ohio was in transit with Jupiter in Gemini when he went missing. All right. And it was about this. It was about the Ohio Department of Mental Health. And maybe he would have learned about Ohio and mental health. I'm not sure. Or he will eventually learn about Ohio and mental health. I don't know. All I know is that he has a connection to Ohio. And so I pulled it, and that's what I came up with. And it's in Columbus, Ohio. Here's where the mother lives, in Yuma, Arizona. So before Devlin Tate went missing, he was really upset. He wanted to be talking to his mama. His other family members were against it, but he wanted what he wanted. He wanted to communicate with her. So this is where the missing event is showing a critical relationship. A critical relationship is right here. I put Sag, but there's a conjunction here. So it's where we get information. He receives information, and where he receives this information is going far. He gets a conscious raising experience with the relationship. It affects his health. And it could have been maybe a truck driver, or somebody saying, oh, I'll take you, no problem. But he didn't make it there. He definitely didn't make it there. So when you see these lines right here, they're going all the way to Arizona. This conjunction is going to Arizona. And it's critical. It was critical with his health. It was critical with his everyday, with his work, everything. It was critical. And it's opposing all of this. So all of the talk and communications and his desires to go this way, he was being opposed this way. All the communications with his family is going this way. And that's exactly where his phone pinged, is going this way. And I really hope that he turns up in Ohio and he's homeless. I think that that's going to be one of the better scenarios. He has a lot of offenders. He walked all the time. Everybody knows everybody. These offenders would have known his routines. He could have been picked up and taken somewhere. We just don't know. We just don't know. I'm not going to be one that gets on family members and starts conspiracies surrounding this one and that one. And you know what you did. You know what you didn't. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I'm just really, really. He didn't live with his bio mom because his family members adopted him. His family adopted him from his mother because she was having a hard time. Couldn't make ends meet. Having a special needs kid, it was very hard on her. Then she had another kid. He's special needs as well. And, he had turned 18. He just wanted to have a relationship with her. He just wanted to have no matter what our parents do, no matter what our family do, sometimes we just, we want to forgive and move on. And I think that he just wanted to have a relationship with her. And I don't think that, people have said, well, I bet he's there. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not there. But my concern is that something nefarious has happened to him. And he could be in this water right here. He could be in this water. You've got two big bodies of water. He didn't like to get wet. But it doesn't mean that nobody would have, could have weighed him down and put him in there. Or, he could be in a damn basement for all we know, being a sex slave or something. I mean, we just never know. We just never know. We've got two offenders right here and right here about very seriously that they have cleared either one of this lake, Jordan Lake or Tupper Lake. There's no way. There's no way. And the only way to do it is to get someone in the water. Excuse me. The other area that concerns me is right here. This is the other area. I don't know if I ever put a hot spot here, but I'm going to because I keep coming back to it. And it's right here. It's right through here. Let me go ahead and move it just a little bit. I think I can get my little man down on the ground here. I can't right through here, but there's a little dot here, a little dot here, and you're going to be able to see. Look at all them woods, y'all. This is the Jordan Lake boat access. So this is the boat access. And then we've got just nothing but woods. Let me look back up to the woods. Okay, so here's my missing and natal lines. They're going that way. See, the little man is here. We're looking at the woods. We're going to the missing and the natal, and then to the Michigan. So that would be right through here. So the dark moon, the disordered aggression with the enlightenment about hidden sex could be right here. The natal first house, this is what he learns. Could be about a vehicle, children, somebody you went to school with, or an older male. Excuse me. Here is his natal Jupiter. That Jupiter that is squaring the Jupiter in Scorpio, his natal Jupiter in Scorpio that is squaring his Saturn in Leo. Older man. Or it could even be an authority figure and their kid. So like say one of the cops' sons went to school with him. It could that's kind of sometimes I'm thinking about that. I'm like, something to do with a law enforcement officer that square that challenge would be with his kid. Here's where Michigan has a breakup with the investigation. With the fourth and the fifth house of kids, fourth house of home. Let's see. Let's look at this road right here. Because we're going to be able to see the woods from there too, I think. Oh, Shauna, I'm so sorry, honey. Okay, let me look. Yeah, I can't be on too much longer because I've got to. Now look at this. Okay, so here is this side of the road, bunch of woods, and this is where there's a breakup with the investigation. There's a wake-up call. There's a wake-up call, a breakup, and it's that line, that Michigan line is right there. There's the Michigan line. Those woods right there. I would search that. Boots on the ground right there. That would make that little area may need to be searched. The flame of life. What do you guys think? So it's that place. The creek to here. The breath. I don't know. This is Jupiter. We're expanding here. But Jupiter don't want to go far. In Gemini, that's just wild to me. It's another SO. We got Battle Creek. Here's where you went to school. This is where he went to school, Michigan Juneau. So Michigan has a relationship. A teacher, maybe. Maybe a teacher, because that's the school, or a kid. Neptune, 9th, Aries. Let's look at that. So there's a quincunx with the school. With non-Aries. And we're going back up here to the auto repair. To the auto repair, this business, the fairgrounds. I would imagine that the fairgrounds have been checked, like literally been checked with dogs and everything. Emerson Street. Let's see what this is. What is that? I don't know. What is that? Is that a church? No. Lake Odessa. What the hell is that? Lake Odessa Depot. Lake Odessa Depot. Okay, what is that? One over right there before we get to the fairgrounds. So we got the fairgrounds, we got the depot. Got a bunch of houses. I'll have to look for the churches. I need to look for the churches around here. He's got a lot of challenges with religion and philosophy. He's got a lot of challenges with that. This is a big opposition for a natal. I mean, that's pretty. Is the sun squaring the missing sun that was squaring the Mars? That's interesting. All right, guys, that's about all I got for now. I just wanted to come on and show you that I am working the map. I'm looking at it from different angles, trying to figure it out. I do have some hot spots. I've got five so far, but I'm going to do a little bit more investigative work on the map. So maybe next time or when he's found, we can say, oh, okay, yeah, we figured that out. We figured it out. Michigan has groups here from the past. Mars in Cancer. That Mars in Cancer, man. Superior Lane. That looks like a mobile home park. There's that. There's that SO. So the SO is right here. And then the trailer park, I think that's what that is. Kind of looks like it. And then there's a bunch of woods back there. Good rest of the afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I'm going to keep working on it, but I do think that there's so many places that need to be cleared. I mean, it's just not even funny. I would make sure that if that was my family member, I would have divers in both of those lakes. I would be saving up money, doing whatever I could to raise money and get divers in that. And there's so many people that could come out there for free. They would do it for free. Different type of rescue teams. I think that they would do it for free, but it's just getting them there, just getting them there. That was the only thing. My next live I am working on, and my next live is going to be probably in the morning. I definitely want to go over all of the shit that is coming to us this week. On the world stage, that is. I want to take a look at the world stage and all of the things that is on the airwaves, with the warring, all of that, because there's a lot of warring going on internally and externally. What is that? There's all kinds of stuff going on in the world, and I just think we need to talk about it. We need to talk about what all the things that are going on with the world leaders, with, they're just pitting everybody against one another. And we're starting to see a whole lot of chatter that's kind of similar. And I want to go over that. I want to go over that as well. So I hope, hope you guys have a great rest of the afternoon. And I will be back on in the morning for sure. I say for sure. I mean, I hope to be. I hope to be back. I mean, I wouldn't say, a lot of search and rescue will come and search. They will come and search. We've had a lot of people over the years with the missing, they're not paying the search and rescue to come. They actually will come. You just have to reach out to them. There's a lot of search and rescue teams that aren't going to charge you to come out to search for your loved one. But anyway, guys, y'all have a good rest of the afternoon. I'm going to close this out with Sebastian's anthem. I don't know that narc divers are still doing anything. I don't know. But anyway, y'all have a good one. Peace out, guys. Here's Sebastian's anthem.
Clean like your soul, won't be forgotten. We stand strong for you, never give up. Seek justice and truth, day and night we search. Community gathers, wipe the tears away. Rise up for you, Sebastian strong. Sebastian's army, we march on. Each day comes and goes, hope in our hearts. You're never alone, we'll bring you home. Wish it was a dream, babe. It lingers on, but strength we carry will keep you strong. Rise up for you, Sebastian strong. Sebastian's army, we march on. Each day comes and goes, hope in our hearts. You're never alone, we'll bring you home. Wish it was a dream, hey, it lingers on, but strength we carry